I'm currently using ChatGPT quite often and constantly, and when I asked it why is it so hard for me to share my videos among people I know, it pointed out several quite logical reasons, and one of them is the acceptance of imperfection, or put it simply, the straight A student syndrome, which is, without overstatement, one of the most popular problems among my peers. The fear of not being perfect was instilled in me since school, when teachers demanded that you memorize certain topics and lessons in exchange for approval in the form of grades on your report card. But if only it ended there. My parents also insisted that receiving a bad grade at school would lead to various restrictions on my freedom, such as being banned from going outside to play with friends or from using the computer because I hadn't perfectly completed this or that homework assignment. Since then, these qualities have been deeply rooted in my mind, that I must always satisfy my surroundings with good grades and perfect work. I generally believe that perfectionism is one of the biggest problems of our generation. I have seen and constantly see how people abandon their own preconceived ideas and plans simply because they do not want to appear imperfect in their surroundings. And what's more interesting is that when such people start, for example, posting their videos for people who don't know them, this problem very often does not arise in their minds. Much can be said and written about perfectionism. It's unlikely that it can be covered in a few minutes of video. But you need to understand one very important reason why the very principle of perfectionism is greatly exaggerated in attention, and that principle is: everyone deeply doesn't care what and how you do. And this principle applies to the vast majority of the world's population. Exceptions can only be made when we consider already quite well-known people whose behavior can directly influence others' lives, such as artists, famous athletes, or even MMA fighters. Otherwise, believe it or not, no one cares if you record your first video for your YouTube channel in a wrinkled or ironed t-shirt, or how many times you stuttered in a report at the office or university. But if we could all, with the snap of the fingers, stop worrying about our appearance, how logical our words were in the last report, or what our lifelong neighbor would think of us, knowing that we have spent our whole childhood in the next house, our lives could be entirely different. Which in essence is true. I don't want to turn myself into a psychotherapist or counselor who needs to work with you on the situations that affected your current behavior. In this video, as in my other videos, I want to reach your logical brain and make it think a little about the reason for those inconveniences that you most often bring upon yourself because you do not understand the true problem of suffering. In this video, we are specifically talking about not accepting oneself as imperfect. We must accept the fact that the world is not perfect in principle, and that all those moments that we admire are essentially only generally accepted facts that we eventually loved. For example, why should we love the magical landscapes of mountains against the blue sky? But we have no alternative, so we love it, and it's hard to find someone who would refute this fact. The same should be said about ourselves. We are those mountains and that sky that people around us must love, because we are unique, whether you like it or not. Some people can be aggressive, but at the same time quite wise and interesting. Some may have certain congenital defects, or like me, suddenly start to stutter. And this event or circumstance does not affect the people around you in any way. And you must understand that every bit of your special quality makes you an incredibly outstanding person who must be proud that there are few like you. And this is merely a manifestation of your personal identity. For example, I'm incredibly worried about my imperfect accent, and believe it or not, the text for my videos can lie around for years before I decide to shoot new videos based on them. I write an interesting text, start recording a video, realize that my accent annoys me, even me, and stop recording the video. And only a few days ago, I did start telling myself that my accent is an indicator that I am making incredible efforts to speak a language that I have not spoken since childhood. And this very fact should command respect not only from the people around you, but from yourself as well. Because you, believe or not, deserve to feel respect for the efforts you put in. And above all, I repeat, you must, and I emphasize, must start respecting yourself and the efforts you put into doing various actions. Let's consider another story that often touches me deeply, and that is the fear of public speaking. When I say public speaking, I mean even voice chat during a PlayStation game. And yes, it can be that scary if you are not used to the attention of others from childhood. I literally feel fear and shame before starting to speak to people in game who moreover do not know me. And the chance that we will ever meet in real life is incredibly small, practically impossible. And there are many people who do not accept themselves and constantly feel the sense of shame and fear. Sometimes this is associated with some mental disorders such as social anxiety, which very accurately described all the symptoms inherent in people who feel fear of public speaking or even interacting with strangers. This is absolutely about me, but I really work on myself and want to work even more, and I want to attract more people to this struggle because I know and see how difficult it is for some people to overcome this relatively simple barrier in their lives. I know people who have incredible, interesting and exciting lives, plus they really want to run a page or blog on Instagram to share their lives with others, but they are held back by the fact that they might seem uninteresting or might write something they will later be ashamed or embarrassed about. But remember what I said. Everyone really doesn't care what you might do wrong. On the other hand, if you are such a person, let's try to figure out what can really go wrong. Suppose you post a new video or photo on your Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. The worst thing that can happen is your content just goes unnoticed. And can you tell me, is there anything deadly, dangerous, or shameful in that? But I assure you that if you continue to create a content that interests you regularly, sooner or later you will gather an audience interested in your stories and your life. Or if you want to teach people, you will definitely find those who want to gain useful knowledge from your posts. But here we can add another fear, which we will definitely discuss in future videos, and that is the fear of being unseen. And subscribe please to this channel and stay tuned for my new videos. I hope that together we can overcome many of our fears and insecurities. Also be sure to share your personal fears or stories in the comments below this video. But now I have said quite understandable and obvious things. So what needs to be done to cross this threshold and start becoming the people we want to be? First of all, I repeat for the third time a fact that not everyone likes, but it is a fact. There are very few people on the planet who really care how you write your post, take a photo, or shoot a video. And first of all, it's you. And then it might be parents or your friends, but the interesting fact is that with almost 100% certainly, these people will not judge or devalue you. But if your relationships with family and friends are so abusive that you are afraid to show them your creation, then I will tell you that you are not obligated to be the best for them. Create pages that they will not see, and then when you achieve your first successes, share this with the people who did not believe in you and rub their noses in it. But the biggest enemy, as unfortunate as it is to admit, is ourselves. We create and invent our fears, we lock ourselves in the frames that we later cannot step over. And this, you must agree, is the strangest feeling. Because who would have thought that we can drive ourselves into a corner of the ring and just hold on to the ropes, taking these blows of fate and life, not even giving ourselves a chance to live the life we want to live. We create barriers for ourselves and then don't allow ourselves to be who we want to be. Maybe you are good at drawing, but your parents or society force you to finish law school and work in a company that brings you no pleasure at all. Or maybe you always dreamed of playing hockey and life forced you to go into completely different profession and all you do for pleasure is watch all the NHL games with more than one can of beer. But what if you start blogging about hockey and teams right now? Or maybe start from scratch and play real hockey in one of the many amateur leagues? Or start your own children's hockey school to give kids what you couldn't give yourself at the time? How do you like that option? Why instead of doing what we really love do we have to, in most cases, fulfill someone else's wishes and then suffer our whole lives? Think about it. You surely deserve to do what you really desire. And finally, I would like to address parents who, through their actions, prevent their children from doing what they really want to do. Stop doing that. Nowadays, it is practically impossible to find a reason not to enroll your child in a football section if he wants to play football. Nowadays, it is already very difficult to find a reason for your child to be locked in the house and not interact with peers, even if he received a bad grade in school. This is certainly not a reason to instill another trauma in your child's head. And most importantly, stop projecting the traumas of your childhood onto the heads of the next generation. Didn't you have enough of what you went through in your life? And thank you for watching this video. I hope I plant a seed of doubt in your own fears and today you started thinking about how to change or at least how to diversify your life. Don't put off living until tomorrow, don't keep your fears on your pillow and be happy now. This was Dmitry with his thoughts. See you soon.